Hey, sports fans, Larry Eater here. We're at the end of day one on the World Outdoor Athletics Championships in Budapest, Hungary. We're at the National Athletics Center. This is a incredible facility built on an area that had pretty much been given up by the city. There was pollution issues. It was just an old industrial wasteland, and they put over 700 million into this place, and it is incredible. What was also incredible was the crowd. There was at least 30,000 people here today, almost twice as big a crowd as we saw in Eugene last year. And it was track fans, but also sports fans. People came here to support the event. Why? Well, a gentleman named Balázs Nemeth, who was in charge of the promotion for this thing, has been building it up for a while. They even worked with us in the U.S. to tell the story. So what do they have? A very enthusiastic crowd. And every time a Hungarian athlete competes here, people go crazy. So the morning sessions were interesting, but there was drama, and it finished with drama too. I can't make this stuff up. So please listen closely and then go watch Peacock and watch NBC for reruns of it, because day one was incredible. And we got 8 more days to go. The shot put, men's qualifying, 11:30. It was supposed to start at 10:30, but we had lightning and thunder and Mother Nature, doing her thing. So they delayed the 20K race walk by 90 minutes. Then they delayed the shot put and everything else by an hour. So the shot put started actually at 11:30. And I thought that our friend Ryan Krauser, who had announced the night before that he had 2 blood clots in his calves, and had been trying to figure it out for about 3 weeks. His medical crew had to come in, and he's doing anticoagulants and all that stuff. And I'm going, how do you throw when your legs are in pain? Well, he did it, man. He qualified. I think he was like the 4th qualifier. Darian Sanromani from Brazil, the guy who won the World Indoor, he had the best opener. He was over 22 meters. Also getting auto qualifying was Zane Weir, Jacko Gill, Tom Walsh, and I don't think Leonardo Fabri had an auto qualifier. So the shot looked good. And I was kind of going, Ryan, what's going on, dude? The next event was the women's 100-meter hurdles, event 1 in the heptathlon. And Noor Viets opened up heat 1. She looked pretty darn good in 13:33. Second heat was Ani Collin, and she looked quite good as well, but again, over 13 seconds. And in heat 3, Talia Brooks, 12:78. Anna Hall, 12:86. They looked fantastic. And Sherry Hodkins from the U.S., 13:04 PB. So the U.S. went 1, 2, 3 in terms of times and points in the heptathlon event 1. The next thing that happened was the 4x4 mixed relay. Now, 2 heats. In the first heat was Portugal, Ireland, Belgium, Kenya, Italy, Great Britain, Dominican Republic, Hungary, and the U.S. The U.S. looked quite good and went out and just did their thing. And Great Britain came in second. They set a national record, and the Dominican Republic didn't even show up. Ireland qualified, and so did Hungary, finished 5th with a national record. In the second heat, it was all about the Netherlands. Netherlands, just Femke Bol did probably the easiest 50-point I've ever seen. She definitely went over a couple of people who had fallen. I thought it was going to be the Netherlands in the final, and the U.S., and possibly Great Britain. The steeplechase qualifying was very interesting. In the first heat, Simon Koech impressed me, a young man from Kenya who's run 8:05. Bernard Katir did not move on. They had first 5 in each heat are qualifying, and there's no between the 800 now and and above. You qualify by place, so it's going to be very interesting to see how these races are run. In the second heat, it was all about Kenneth Rooks and Soufiane El Bakali. Rooks is the young man who won the U.S. championships after falling, and he ran a PB during that race. And he finished up right next to our friend, Mr. El Bakali, the Olympic champion and world champion. And then in the third heat, it was all about Lamecha Gurma, the world record holder in the steeple, but also Gordy Beamish, New Zealander, national record holder at 8:13.61. He beat Peter Redder's record from way back in 1984. And before Renner, it was Ewan Robinson, who was a very good cross-country runner, finished 5th in the world cross-country back in 75. But I got to tell you, I'm impressed with Rooks, and I'm impressed with Jordy Beamish. I think that they could be in the top 6. And it's going to be really interesting to see. And then, too, in the heptathlon is the high jump. And when Katarina Johnson-Thompson had a good score and she medaled, she always had a great high jump. And she looked pretty darn good in this one. But so did Anna Hall, so did Sherry Hawkins, and so did Talia Brooks. And they came out of it, and the scores were Anna Hall at 21:45, less than 10 points behind Talia Brooks, then Sherry Hawkins, and then Katarina Johnson-Thompson. And I'm going, wow, this is looking interesting. But I also know that KJT's best events are coming. And it was really interesting. You know, without Nafi Tiem here, it's just a whole different world. The hammer throw was the next qualifying. And a huge surprise from Canada, Ethan Katzenberg, who's, let me just see what his personal best, yeah, you're going to love this. His personal best is 78.73 meters. So what does the dude do? 81.18 meters, a new Canadian record. It must be the beard this guy's got, because he's got a thrower's beard. But Katzenberg looked quite good. And Benz Halash from Hungary, their best chance for a medal. He looked good as well. Gabriel Kier looked pretty good as well. Wojciech Nowicki, the Olympic champion, he was in there. And who else do we have in that first group? I think that was the ones I was most impressed with. In the second one, Paweł Fajek, the party man from Poland, he's won 5 hammer throw world championships, and he wants to win 6. Now, there's also a great story about Paweł, and I have to share it now. I think it was in Beijing. He was celebrating after having won his 2015 gold medal in the hammer, and he ran out of money, so he paid the taxi driver with his medal. And the taxi driver hunted him up and got him his medal back, and Paweł paid him a few bucks. But, you know, what that tells you is when you're traveling other countries and you're going to win a medal, maybe keep some cash on you so you don't have to use the medal to, pay a taxi. But Fajek looked pretty darn good. Who also was in there that I wanted to tell you, Rudy Winkler. Rudy Winkler from the U.S., and he also competes for the New York Athletic Club. He and Nowicki have been battling all season. And I thought the medals were going to be between those two guys. But now with Katzenberg, you're wondering, this kid's hot right now. What's going to happen? So it's going to be very interesting. And Paweł Fajek, he wants number 6. This guy is just, he does a mind meld on you. I think he's going to get a medal. After that was the long jump women, and this was really interesting. Our friend from, a lot of people didn't make it, and that's what really is blowing my mind. This is kind of a strange championships. So far, Tara Davis Woodall, she led the entire competition. Ivana Valletta, she went on, of course. Who else we had in there? And I always mess up her name, so I want to make sure I got it spelled. Fiona May's daughter, Larissa Iopino, she looked great. But the one who really surprised me, Jasmine Sawyers did not make the final. Quenisha Burks did not make the final. Ruth Osoro didn't make the final. That just really blew my mind. Some of the most consistent jumpers, and that's part of the thing of the champs. You've got to do it. You've got to be able to perform when your time comes. And if you can't do it, party's over. The 100-meter first heats, the prelim round, that's a chance for World Athletics to give many countries someone to compete here. There's 94 countries that have one athlete competing here. There's 200 countries competing. Now, the U.S. has the biggest team at 164. Spain and France are in the 70s and 80s. England's at 55. But there's many teams that are at 1. Austria has 8. That's one of their biggest teams ever. A little bit of trivia for you, right? Okay, and then we had the 1,500-meter women. And the first heat was really interesting. Safan Hassan, she wasn't going away. Laura Muir was right there. And in third was our American, Nikki Hiltz looked fantastic. Nikki is really tough. And I think Nikki left it to like 150 meters to go, and they have incredible speed over that last 150 meters. Never discount Nikki Hiltz. Tough, tough, tough. In the second, but Sophia Anoui, who's won silver and bronze in the Europeans the last two go-rounds, indoor and out, from Poland, did not move on. And neither did Claudia Bobachea, who was a silver medalist at the European indoors recently. So kind of interesting. Some people, Lucia Stanford from Canada, she did not move on either. But Laura Muir, I thought, looked good. Nikki Hiltz looked good. And of course, Sifan Hassan looked great. And she's got the 10,000 coming in the evening. In the second heat, it was all about, it was pretty impressive. Faith Kipyegon, how do you compete against Faith Kipyegon? I mean, Faith just ran her race. And Dribi Welteji looked pretty darn good. Sarah Healy moved on. Melissa Courtney Bryant moved on. But there were some surprises of folks that did move on. And actually, one I wanted to point out, and I'm just to make sure I got it. Sinclair Johnson in Heat 3, I was quite impressed with. Nelly Chipchachir, she's the athlete that Justin Lagat has been saying has so much promise. She looked fantastic. Lyndon Hall from Australia moved on as well. Sophia O'Sullivan, who won the European under-23 and set a record for University of Washington. She ran a 4:02:15, finished 8th. But what a season. Her mom is Sonia O'Sullivan. So, maybe she can get the family record someday. And Marta Perez did not move on either. In Heat 4, Corey Ann McGee looked great. Sierra McGee looked great. Jessica Hull. Winnie Nanyando did not move on. Marta Penfreitas did move on. And I had one other in here I wanted to make sure Hirut Mashesha, who, you remember, she ran that 4:17 mile in Osaka and kind of blew some people's minds. She's run a 3:54 for the 1500. The 20K men's race walk was the first event of the championships, but it was delayed by 90 minutes. Álvaro Martin from Spain won in 1:17:32, a world leader. Perseus Karlstrom, I just love this guy's name. He's from Sweden. He's just a big dude. And he went 1:17:39 for a national record for Sweden. And Caio Bonfim from Brazil, 1:17:47 national record. Evan Dumpy, who's a longtime race walker from Canada, he was 4th in 1:18:03, a national record. Christopher Link from Germany, 1:18:12 and 5th. And Vel-Matti Partanen, 1:18:22 for a national record. That was the only final in the morning session. Okay, after session 1, the weather got really nice, but the session was really delayed. Finished up about 4 o'clock, and then we had an opening ceremony that was rather interesting. There were some musical performers from Poland. I wasn't familiar with, or from Hungary. I wasn't familiar with them, but the crowd loved it, so that's what counts. It was really an interesting crowd. I think most of them knew what track and field was, but they also were coming to this event because it's the biggest sporting event ever in Hungary. The Prime Minister of Hungary mentioned it on Twitter today, otherwise known as X, and he was here with Seb Coe as well, Viktor Orban, and he is kind of head of the populist movement in Hungary. But this is a big deal, and the local government and the federal government got behind it in Hungary, which doesn't happen in the U.S. So we're going to talk about the 1500 now, and this first heat was really interesting. Now, again, remember, first 6 in each heat qualify. There's no time things anymore in the 1500. Jakob Ingebrigtsen won in 3:33.94, but staring him down was Josh Kerr from Great Britain in 3:34.00. I think Kerr's going to be the player in here. 19-year-old Reynold Kipkorir Chariot was 3rd in 3:34.24. Adel Michal from Spain, 3:34.35. Isaac Notter from Portugal, 3:34.36. And Charles Philibert Thibautu from Canada. I love just saying Charles' name, 3:34.60. That was the first heat, and there's 3 heats. There was some serious racing. The second heat was weird, though, because they went to the 800, and I'm not making this up, in 2:12. Like high school pace. Mario Garcia from Spain, who is a pretty serious 800 dude, went 3:46.77 to win. But Tshepo Tashidi from RSA from South Africa, he made this move from 8th up into 2nd, 3:46.79. Near Gorley was 3rd, 3:46.87. Samuel Tanner went in on the inside from New Zealand, 3:46.93. Ruben Verteheyden, he was up front a lot of the race from Belgium, 3:47.02. And Timothy Chariot barely made it in on his butt, 3:47.09. Chariot had led for most of the race, and Garcia just beat the heck out of him. Heat 3. Oh, there's 4 heats. I'm sorry. In Heat 3, young Netherlands wonder kid Niels Laros, 3:34.25. Mo Katir, 2nd, 3:34.34. And Mo didn't care. He just wanted to make the final. I think Mo and Josh Kerr are going to be ones pounding on Jacob Ingebrigtsen. Cole Hawker in 3rd, almost didn't make it in. The guy was sitting on the inside the whole time. It would be really, I mean, Cole's got a great kick, but it'd be really nice if Cole figured out that, you know what, use as little energy as possible in the heats in the semifinal so you've got something for the final. It's an interesting concept. Pietro Arese from Italy, 3:34.48. Narve Nordas from Norway, 3:34.67. Again, another young wonder kid. And then Azzedine Habiz from France. We've been seeing him race all summer, 3:35.16. Stuart McSwain had led for a long time. He ran 3:36.01, and he did not move on. And the final heat, Abo Kipsang, 3:34.08. Yared Nagusi, 3:34.16. Yared looked great. He just kept it under control. Adam Spencer from Australia, 3:34.17. Charles Grethen in Luxembourg has been running well all summer, 3:34.32. Elliot Giles, former 800 guy, 3:34.63. And Andrew Koskorin from Ireland, 3:34.75. Remember, we saw him in the New Balance Indoor with probably one of the most insane kicks I've seen in a long time was Osama Meslik from Italy, 3:35.12. I met Osama at the airport, and we shared a car into town and got to chat a little bit. So I'm going to try to get him to do an interview with us. But his mom's Italian, dad is Moroccan. He was born in Italy. When he was a young'un, he moved to England. He's got this great English accent, but he speaks Italian fluently. And I'm pretty sure he speaks Moroccan too. But great young man, great attitude, just one of those fun athletes. So we'll have to do an interview with him. So that was the 1500. The third event in the heptathlon is the shot put. And in Group A, Anouk Vetter won in 15:72. Anouk, as you know, is from the Netherlands. Saga Vaininen from Finland, 14:78. Anna Hall was 3rd in 14:54, so she's looking pretty good. Vanessa Grimm, Germany, 14:43. Sherry Hawkins, 2nd U.S. or 3rd U.S. person. She went 14:40 and finished in 6th. In Group B, we had Xenia Krizan from Hungary, who had anytime a Hungarian athlete competes, they just go apeshit crazy. She threw 14:18. Sophie Webenberg, the one woman who won the high jump, 13:97. Katarina Johnson-Thompson, 13:64. Okay. Oriana Lazaruk-Klaas from France, 13:48. And Talia Brooks in 5th, 13:45. A PB. Nice going for Talia. Pretty hot, huh? Okay. All right. The next event is the qualifying for the men's triple jump. Look, I love the men's triple jump, but for the last couple of years, it's absolutely sucked. Please, triple jumpers, get us some jumps over 18. Get us some jumps over 17.5 meters. In the first group, Group A, Yaming Zhu from China, 17:14. He moved on and qualified. Hughes Fabrice Zongo, who I think could win the whole thing, from Burkina Faso, 17:12. Christian Napoles from Cuba, 16:95. Chris Bernard, 16:71. That's the first Group A. So those are the little folks who made it in. Now let's see what happens in the second group. Yaden Hibbert, 17:70. The kid from Jamaica who won the NCAAs. He is tough. Yes, I think he can go over 18 meters very, very soon. Lazaro Martinez from Cuba, 17:12. He's not jumping that well right now. Yasser Mohammed Triki from Algeria, 16:95. Emmanuel Imameji from Italy, 16:91. Yao Qing Fang, 16:83. Tiago Pereira, 1677. Will Clay, 1672. He moves on. And Leodan Torrealba from Venezuela, 1675. Who doesn't move on is Donald Scott, 1633. That breaks my heart. We just had a story about Donald. Okay. That's the men's triple jump qualifying. Now it's going to start getting interesting. We had 7 heats of the 100 meters. Now, remember I told you there was those prelims where people who, had an 11:08 PB moved on. Sarnell Hughes won the first heat. He had a crappy start, but he won in 10 flat from Riem Ford and Sergej Ogilui. And fourth was Dominik Kopak from Poland. He moves on too. In heat 2, Noah Lyles, and Noah literally won this race in the last 5 meters from Ferdinand Omanyala. Omanyala had a great start. Noah, his starts are problematic, but his race is just screaming. He's in incredible shape. Third place was Uju Rotizi Iskeri from Nigeria, 10:17. And fourth was the national champion indoors and European indoor champion, Samuel Ceccarelli, 10:26 from Italy. Jerome Blake was fifth in 10:29. Wow, Jerome Blake should have moved on. Okay, heat 3. Rafael Buju from the Netherlands, 10:09. Eugene Amo Dodzi. I love Eugene. He is the world's fastest accountant. I swear to God. Yeah, he ran 10:10. And I mean, he's not really full-time, athlete. He's actually an accountant. So they call him Stuart calls him the world's fastest accountant. 10:10. He took second. Emmanuel Matadi from Liberia, 10:13. And in fourth was Benjamin Richardson, 10:17. The one that shocked me. In fifth, Cravant Charleston, U.S., 10:18. He was the national champion. I heard that Cravant got injured in the relay camp. I haven't been able to confirm that. Jan Volko was back in seventh, 10:25. He's a top Central European sprinter. Try to give them some respect too. In the fourth heat, Letsili Tobogo, Botswana, 10:11. Rohan Browning, 10:11. Reese Prescott. Reese got kicked off the 4x1 team in the UK because guess what? He was playing like he was an American sprinter from the 90s. He wasn't showing up. Sean Masagawi, South Africa, 10:21. He didn't move on. Heat 5. Fred Curley. I've heard Fred had some injury stuff, but he looked pretty good. But Oblique Seville had the fastest time in the qualifying, 9:86. Fred Curley was second, 9:99. Henrik Larsson, Sweden, 10:16. This is after 5 false starts. They finally got it right on the 6th. Heat 6. Olympic champion, Lamont Marcel Jacobs. The second race of the year. He's run 10:21 this season. Yesterday at the Casa Italia, he told the assembled Italian media, and the guy should be an opera singer anyway. Well, what he said was, I'm running in the dark. God, I got to figure out what that is in Italian because I'm going to put that in the top of a column. Abdul Hakim Sani Brown ran 10:07. He's one of Japan's top sprinters. Japanese kids are doing pretty good. I think their 4x1 is going to be killer. Rohan Watson from Jamaica, 10:11 in second. Lamont Marcel Jacobs, 10:15. He looked halfway through that race like our Italian stallions in trouble. He put it together with that last 50 and made it in. And Brendan Rodney from Canada, 10:16. He was their last qualifier in Heat 6. Heat 7. Akini Simbini. Do not discount the South African sprinter. He ran 9:97. Christian Coleman was second in 9:98. Hiroki Yanagita, 10:20. Emmanuel Archibald, 10:20. That is the final qualifier for the men's 100 going to the semis tomorrow, kids. That's going to be really interesting. So what is event 4 in the heptathlon, kids? It's the 200 meters. It ends their first day. And heat 3, Katarina Johnson-Thompson. She battled Anna Hall, went 23:48, looked superb. Anna Hall, 23:56. Talia Brooks, 23:85. Sophia Webenberg, 23:88. Sophie Doctor, 23:89. Anouk Vetter, 24:28. Sherry Hawkins, 24:38. And I'll figure out the combined points real quick for you because that's Inquiring minds will know. Anna Hall's leading at 39.98. Katarina Johnson-Thompson, 39.05. Sherry Hawkins, 3,900. 5 points separate silver and bronze. Talia Brooks, 38.88. 12 points. I'll tell you, Sophie Webinar, 38.77. Nor Veets, 38.33. Everybody there can shake it up. But Anna Hall is going into day 2. I think she's looking at a score of about 70-80, but we'll have to see. Someone's going to say, Larry, you're smoking the crack pipe. All right. Gave you a little break there because it is going to get really interesting now. You remember how I told you guys that poor Ryan Krauser had a couple blood clots in his leg, and I was feeling really bad for my favorite bass fisherman / shot putter. So what does he do? He comes out and he takes the lead right away in the shot final. He goes 22.68. Then he goes 22.98, a championship record. Then he goes 23.51, the second best throw ever in the entire universe on his last throw. David Hunter, our illustrious senior rider from Akron, Ohio, said this to me. It was a perfect ending to the shot put, and he was right. 23.51, a championship record. Very impressive was second place Leonardo Fabri. Leonardo was a pretty good-sized guy 2 years ago, but he got COVID twice. This is from our dear friend Franco Fava, and it really thinned him out. And he's a little faster, and he just cranked to 22.34, and I think it was his second attempt. The battle for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth was incredible. Thomas Walsh and Jocko Gill were going 2-3 for a while, and then Joe Kovacs went 22.12, and he got the bronze. I think that's his fourth world championship medal. Tom Walsh is the 2018 world champion, remember, and he won 2 world indoor championships as well, and he's won a couple Olympic medals too. Pretty impressive guy. He finished fourth in 22.05. Fifth was Patton Utterdahl, 21.86, and Jacko Gill, who was a young star in New Zealand and has just kind of, sometimes he's had good ones, sometimes he had rough ones. He was really into it today, 21.76, pretty darn impressive. And that was just a shot, and we still have 2 more events to go. And I'm going to tell you, these 2 events were absolutely insane. I told you earlier in this whole broadcast that I couldn't make this stuff up. Well, I can't. The women's 10,000 was absolutely pure insanity. First, it started out like people were taking a nap. I mean, it was, they ran 3:25 for the first 2 kilometers. They then ran a 3:08, and they started to look like they were getting serious about it. You had Alicia Monson, you had Natasha Rogers, you had Elise Cranny, you had Gudaf Sagay, you had Latenzabet Kadeh, who won last year. You had Ejgaheyu Taye, and then you had the Kenyans, Irene Kamei and Agnes Ngetic. They were all there. Safan Hassan was sitting in the very back of the pack. She literally was the last person in the race for up to half the race. And she finally got into the top 10 in the last kilometer. And she moved very well on the last lap as the bell hit in 30:28, and they ran a 59 last lap. Safan is up there with Sagay, Kadeh, and Taye, and I'm just going, this party's over. Alicia Monson is holding on for dear life. Elise Cranny had dropped back a while before, and so had our friend Natasha Rogers. And I wrote in my notes, party's over. Hassan's got it. But as they came down the final straightaway, Safan Hassan is fighting to get away. But Gudaf Sagay is one happy warrior. This woman loves it when she can put it all together at the end of a race. And she has a most difficult last 100 meters. She will make you hurt and cry and wish you were serving Taco Bell. Sagay comes up along her. Kadeh, who had, if you remember from last year, had hindered Helen Obiri from going by her, is moving behind her. And Ejgaheyu Taye is right there as well. It must have been with about 8 or 10 steps before the finish that Safan Hassan had been going from lane 1 to lane 2 to lane 3, obstructing. Yes, obstructing. She should have been DQ'd. She was obstructing Segay, but Segay kept her head together, drifting as well, and Hassan was having problems. As Gudaf Segay went by her, Safan Hassan hit the ground. She did not finish. So Gudaf Segay won in 31:27:18. Latenzabet Gidey, who was the gold medalist from last year, was second in 31:28:16. Ejgaiheu Taye, Ethiopia, 31:28:13. Fourth place, Irene Kemei from Kenya, 31:32:19. Fifth, Alicia Monson, 31:32:29. Alicia had a great race. Agnes Jabet Negedich was sixth in 31:34. But this whole thing was Safan Hassan. She should have been DQ'd. I mean, it was like roller derby. And so my suggestion is for Safan is that if she wants to find another career, that she might join a roller derby team in the U.S. because she's got great hip checks. She can move out, push people around. But I've never seen a race like this. And the Netherlands should have at least had a medal. Ms. Hassan had they actually gave her down here for 11th. She fell and she got up. She lost 24 seconds. She went 31:53:35. She was just, I just think she was totally wiped out. The final event of the evening, again, is one of these events that, how do you describe it? This was the mixed 4x4 relay. And again, remember I told you kids that earlier on, the Dominican Republic didn't even show up for the qualifying. And we thought they're defending champs. What's happening? They weren't there. It came down to the U.S., Great Britain, Netherlands, and everybody was looking good. Let me just give you some splits so you can appreciate this. So Justin Robinson for the U.S. ran a 44:47 at the first leg. Limorn Bonavencia, 44:76. Then Rosie Effiong, 50:38. Leaky Clover, 49:80. On the third leg, it was Matthew Bowling. He had been changed from the earlier runner. Bowling's ran 45:13. And Isaiah Klein Ickink, 45:21. Then it came down to Femke Bowl and Alexis Holmes. They were together off the turn. I thought Femke had it. But as they came into the final straightaway, Alexis Holmes was fighting, and she came up alongside Femke Bowl, and Femke Bowl began to falter. Now, Alexis ran 48:82. I can only think that Femke Bowl was just a little bit quicker right there, but she literally collapsed. She had nothing left. She fell, and I thought she had finished third, but they have her as a DNF. The U.S. was credited with the gold at 3:08:80, a national record. Great Britain's team of Lewis Davy, Lavia Nielsen, Rio Mitchum, and Yemi Mary John ran 3:11:06, their second national record of the day. And the Czech Republic with Matej Krisic, Teresa Petrazilova, Patrick Sorm, and Lada Vondrova, 3:11:98 national record. France was fourth with Gilles Biron, Luis Maraval, Theo Adenant, and Amandine Brossier, 3:12:99. Absolutely incredible that the Netherlands lost medals in two consecutive events in the final steps is just mind-boggling. I've never seen anything like it in the 40-plus years I've been watching track and field. So does this first day live up to the hype? Oh, my gosh, yes. Oh, my gosh, yes. And what do we have to look forward to tomorrow? Well, we start with the women's 20K, but you can see our preview that we'll have posted up as well. Tomorrow evening, you're going to have finals in the men's hammer throw, the finish up the heptathlon, the men's 10,000, and the men's 100 meters. but we had an incredible day one. The crowd is so receptive here. The weather after the craziness of the morning worked out great. And it was a pretty darn cool first day of a world championship. And we had a great crowd, the biggest crowd I've seen in years. So congratulations, Budapest, Hungary. Thank you for hosting Budapest 2023, a great first day. Congratulations to Ryan Krauser. Congratulations to Team USA in the mixed relay. Congratulations to Gudolf Segay. And congratulations in the race walk to the top 3 medalists there. But just a fantastic first day. This is Larry Eater with RunBlogRun. It is August 19th. It is about 11:30 local time here. Have a great evening. Talk to you soon.